Hey guys, welcome to our lesson Understanding Nutritional Labels for Weight Loss. If you are new here to our channel, please make sure to like and subscribe for more exclusive weekly content. To start, if we intend to begin a weight loss diet, we need to consume less calories than we are using per day. So it is imperative to know how many calories that should be, so we are aware of what to aim for. Now, to calculate the weight loss calories per day, we first need to find out how many calories we need to consume per day to maintain your current weight, also known as your maintenance caloric intake, which we will be referring to as MCI. To do this, there are two steps involved. First, we need to find out your basal metabolic rate, which is BMR for short. Your BMR is the number of calories your body needs per day to accomplish its most life sustaining functions, such as breathing, circulation, nutrient processing, and cell production. We can do this by using the Mifflin-St. G.R. equation. For men, it would be 10 multiplied by your weight in kilos, 6.25 multiplied by your height in centimeters, then 5 multiplied by your age. And just to note, we calculate what is in the brackets first, guys, and then add or subtract between them after. And for women, it is the exact same idea. However, at the end, instead of adding 5, we will minus 161. Subsequently, after doing the equation, we will now have your BMR. And obviously, guys, as you lose weight, this equation should be adjusted as it takes your weight into consideration. So I recommend after every 5 kilos lost to redo the equation, entering your new weight in kilos in place of the old, to provide you with a more accurate view of your MCI over the long term. Now, the second step involves us taking your BMR and multiplying it by your activity level per week. So, how intense and frequent your exercise levels are, in combination with whether you work a physical job or not. For instance, if you do not currently do any exercise and consequently fall under sedentary, we will take your BMR and multiply it by 1.2, and the answer will provide us with the amount of calories that you need to consume each day to not gain or lose weight, again referred to as your maintenance caloric intake. Now that finding your MCI is out of the way, we will next subtract 500 calories from this value, and it will present us with the initial amount of calories to consume each day to lose weight. And guys, just to note, once we get into the routine of consuming 500 calories less than our MCI per day, we can reduce this to 600 and then over a few weeks 700 calories below your MCI. However, I would not recommend going further than that, as it will result in you feeling very hungry and tired throughout the day, and it is not feasible over the long term, not to mention being unhealthy. So, for instance, let's bring in Sarah. And Sarah has already done the math and calculated her MCI, resulting in 2000 calories per day. She then will simply take 500 calories away from 2000 and has found that she has 1500 calories to consume daily to lose weight. Now that we know how to calculate the amount of calories we should be consuming while dieting, we can now look at the nutritional label. Be aware that nutritional label designs can vary between one another. However, this example should give you enough information to understand each. So to start, one aspect of the label you'll be familiar with seeing is the serving size. Now, this is important when dieting as all of the nutritional information, so calories, carbs, fat, protein, etc., corresponds to that specific serving size, whether it be one item, like a donut, or a number of items, like 5 biscuits. Now, it's also important to note that if you're eating more than the manufacturer is recommending as a serving size, you need to multiply the nutritional information by the amount you're eating. For instance, if the nutritional label says on the back of a muffin that each serving is 150 calories, we need to make sure that one serving size is for the whole muffin, rather than half of the muffin, or else we would actually consume 300 calories. Next, you'll see we have the percentage daily value, with percentages underneath parallel to total fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, etc. Well, this, as you can see from the disclaimer at the bottom of the nutritional label, states how much a nutrient in a serving of food contributes to a daily diet of 2000 calories. If you consume more or less than 2000 calories per day, these percentages won't exactly be accurate for you. However, a good rule of thumb, guys, is that a percentage daily value of 5% or less means that the food is low in that particular nutrient, whereas a value of 20% or higher would indicate the food is high in that nutrient. Also, just so you know, we will not be discussing micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals in this lesson, as we will be dedicating a video specifically for them. Now that the basic aspects of the nutritional label are explained, we can discuss the nutritional component of it, beginning with total fat. Total fat can be categorized into two subgroups, good and bad fats. The good fats being the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, while the bad fats being the trans fats and the saturated fats. It's noteworthy, guys, that these are not called good and bad fats because good fats contain less calories than bad fats, as every gram of fat, whether good or bad, contains 9 calories. Conversely, they are called good and bad fats due to the positive or negative attributes associated with them. Good fats, for example, such as avocados and most types of nuts which are unsalted, are beneficial as they support metabolism, cell signaling, immunity, hormone production, and absorption of nutrients such as vitamin A or vitamin D. While bad fats, for example, like steak, butter, cheese, pizza, and hamburgers, raise bad cholesterol while lowering good cholesterol. So, how much fat should be included in our weight loss diet? Well, this should be about 30% of our daily calories. Ready for some more maths, guys? No? Me neither. Let's go. So let's bring in Sarah again and recall that she is on a weight loss diet as calculated earlier at 1,500 calories daily. Therefore, we need to multiply 1,500 by 0.30 to find the most calories of fat she should be consuming each day, which is 450 calories. And how many grams of fat is that, I hear you asking? Well, since 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, she will take the advised 450 calories worth of fat daily, divide it by 9, and it will show us the grams of fat she should consume each day, which is 50 grams. And obviously, guys, we do not want 50 grams of bad fat. Instead, we want to incorporate as much good fats in that 50 grams as possible. Next, let's talk briefly about cholesterol. But first, guys, just to note, I will be covering cholesterol more in depth in another lesson. And be aware that there is good and bad cholesterol, as there are good and bad fats. However, here we will be strictly talking bad cholesterol. So here we have a normal artery with cholesterol starting to block an artery to the right of it, leading to arteriosclerosis, which narrows the arteries and increases the risk for heart attacks, stroke, and peripheral artery disease. Now, a recommendation from the 2010 Dietary Guidelines for Americans suggests to limit consumption of dietary cholesterol to 300 milligrams per day, and less than 200 milligrams per day if you are at a high risk of heart disease, like having a high BMI, for example. However, guys, as bad dietary cholesterol is contributed to largely by bad fats, you will not need to worry about this so much if your weight loss diet is already limiting these fats. Moreover, let's talk about sodium. Now, when people think of sodium, they automatically think of salt, as 40% of salt is sodium. However, it is a common misconception that the salt we have at the dinner table is the biggest sodium contributor in our diets. In fact, more than 70% of our sodium comes in the form of processed food. Even foods that don't taste salty can add up as major sources of daily sodium because they are consumed so much. For example, one slice of bread can contain from 80 to 230 milligrams of sodium, and a slice of pizza can contain between 370 and 730 milligrams. So, how much sodium should we have per day? Well, the 2015 to 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommend to consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day as part of a healthy diet. This is important as the vast majority of adults consume more than 3,400 milligrams per day, and eating too much sodium can put you at risk for developing high blood pressure and stroke. Have you anything to add about fat, cholesterol, or sodium intake when dieting? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. So guys, that has been our lesson, Understanding Nutritional Labels for Weight Loss. Thanks for listening, and please check out the second part of this lesson, where we will expand to carbs, fiber, sugar, and protein.